Hello, everybody, and welcome to this WBC Talk. Stay home, stay safe. We're doing this because we want you to stay at home, have some fun, learn about boxing. And today is going to be a great panel. This is round number 5. It's going to be judges, and we have the best of the best with us, but also we're going to have a lot of fun, I'm sure. I want to introduce first Mauricio Sulaiman, president of WBC.
Hello, good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone who is tuning into the WBC Talks. We're very happy and enthused to have a round 5 with the judges, a panel of judges from all over the world. And I'd like to thank WBC University, Liber Poiré, and Xochitl for the great work that they're doing, putting this platform for the WBC to be able to join in from home with the boxing world. Remember to stay home, stay safe, and let's have a great hour and a half with great judges from the WBC. Thank you.
Well, it's supposed to be 1 hour, but now Mauricio knows this is going to take longer. Well, I want to thank Xochitl, and I want to ask her to tell us about the WBC University.
Yes, hello, Victor and Mauricio. It's very nice for me to share this panel, especially with the ring officials, a good friends, Hubert and Steve. We've been working together for the proposal of the guidelines for judging for boxing judge. It's a proposal that Mauricio started about 2 years ago, trying to put the professionalization of the boxing experts, of the responsibles to do boxing all over the world, putting some bottom from where everybody has to start. We work in these guidelines for the judges, for the referees, for the ring supervisors, and we are going to be putting these courses online when the time is ready. But right now we are sharing the platform and the knowledge that we've been putting together during these hard times for everybody. So I just, from the WBC University family, we just want to share a good time and put a little bit of effort so we can stay home, stay safe during this time of crisis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Xochitl. And now I want to introduce our panel. We have Hubert Bean. He has been the chairman of the ring officials for the WBC for almost 20 years. He has instructed and certified hundreds of judges and referees in over 20 countries, judged since the early 1990s, and became professional judge in 1997 for the Hawaii State Boxing Commission. It was after his father, Herb, a Hawaiian Boxing Hall of Famer and WBC ring official, who encouraged him, and they worked together in some occasions, in some fights, if I'm not wrong. And he has judged more than 50 world title fights. Is that true, Hubert?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
I can't imagine the privilege of being working with your father.
Yes, it was an honor.
We're going to have Dwayne Ford that is connected right now. He's right here with us. And he has judged over 600 fights in the United States, mostly in Nevada. But he has also judged in Japan, Poland, Germany, Mexico, Canada, Panama, Thailand, South Korea, France. Well, I can go on and on and on. During his career as an official, Dwayne has been ringside judging some of the most exciting title fights in boxing history. His judging resume includes such fights as Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Salvador Sanchez, Wilfredo Gomez, Larry Holmes, Gary Cooney, George Foreman, Michael Moorer, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson in that fight, the bite fight. He is the president of the North American Boxing Federation. He's part of the WBC board. and Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. Dwayne, I can say so many things about you.
Well, thank you for saying good things. Thank you for inviting me.
I have something prepared for you. Steve Morrow, 31 years career in Gilroy, California as a police officer. Since 1989 as a ringside reporter. Judge for the California State Athletic Commission in 1998 and joined the WBC in 2006. Judge in California, Nevada, New York, and Texas. Steve has 65 world title fights around the world, including Andrew Ward, Gennady Golovkin, Mikey Garcia, Leo Santa Cruz, and Abner Mares. He is currently the Vice President Chairman of the Ring Officials for the World Boxing Council and is an active and continuing trainer for Ring Officials seminars. And also, I want to say, his wife, Marcy, she's currently on the front lines of the COVID-19 outbreak, serving as a paramedic first responder in California. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, she's a hero, that's for sure. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, Victor.
Thank you, Steve. Craig Metcalf, he's been judging professional boxing for the last 15 years. He's been a WBC judge since 2006 and a member of the WBC Officials Committee for several years. He's been in so many world title fights worldwide, all the way from Canada. Craig Metcalf.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me, people.
Mauricio.
Sorry, had the mute. I'm very happy to see my friends. I hug you from far away. We believe in the leading by example, so we're staying home. We're asking the boxing community to participate. Let's look at this as a 15-day period at a time so we don't get anxious. Let's get active. Let's keep our minds busy. Don't look at all those news that only create anguish and uncertainty. Let's get active. I'm so happy to be connected with Hawaii, with Canada, with Las Vegas, Spain, and California with Steve Morrow. So having such knowledge, such a panel, we have a few questions that Victor is going to ask. They're entertaining and they're going to be very nicely put so the fans and the media can learn from your experiences. We have a few rounds to judge, and whatever you like to say, when you like to compliment and say additional things to the comments from anyone, feel free to do so. So let's get the round started. Round 5. Victor, we cannot hear you.
It's going to be a lot of fun because we did this yesterday. We talked and it's amazing. So, Jill, do you want to say something? Please explain what is about the WBC University. Xochitl?
Yes. ¿Qué parte? Which part, Victor?
Oh,
Do you want to explain anything about the rounds? Anything else? Okay. First, I would like to ask Hubert, could you explain us how the fights used to be scored long ago? And what's the importance of a judge?
Well, in a brief summary, in the old days, when they used to just stop fights on the piers, the rounds were just whenever someone stopped. If I knocked you down, it stopped. So some fights went 200 rounds. Now, eventually it became where the referee was the sole person who made that decision. And eventually, as they changed into the Queensberry rules, they decided that they would have 2 other judges. I think Dwayne can tell you when we changed to 3 judges, the WBC, we changed over to 3 judges, and we had the referee now. His responsibility was basically safety. So I think it was a wise move to move away from one person having that authority to not only watch the safety of the fighter, but also try to determine who won the round. I think it's a better process and a better system.
Dwayne?
Yes. You know, when Hugh was mentioning the referee as the sole arbiter, I immediately thought about Wyatt Earp in the history of Nevada.
Exactly, yeah. That's
Wyatt
right.
Earp was a referee, and he did a lot of the fights in Tonopah and Goldfield. Goldfield today is just a ghost town, but there used to be 20,000 people living there. And I believe he did a Jack Dempsey fight there, a sole arbiter. But Hugh, I don't remember when they went to the three judges. I do know when, well, I do too. I want to correct that. I believe it was 1980 in Mexico City. It was a very passionate time wherein we wanted the referee, I say the WBC, wanted the referee to solely pay attention to the safety of the fighter. And it was the thought that if they didn't have to concentrate on scoring and they could just pay attention to the safety of the fighter, it would be better. This was a very passionate and tearful argument from the floor. I remember Arthur McConty was in tears, begging not to eliminate the referee, that portion of it. And I related to it because he loved the sport and the referees did a great job in doing it. But this was a very emotional and a time. And I think it's been the right decision.
Yes, it was an eventual, it took place like this COVID virus is going to go away from parts of the world differently at different times. It was a process, but it was around the late 70s, early 80s, when it was a definite referee and 3 judges scoring the bouts. We are trying to implement the 5-judge scoring to have, especially in the most important fights, to have a wider set of officials that can score the very important fights.
Now that I have you here, and I know that there's a lot of things happening around the judges, I would like to ask you, what is the strangest thing that happened to you during, in the middle of a fight, in the middle of a round, between rounds? I know there should be a lot of things. I was hearing a judge that says, I fell down from the chair, or what is the most strangest thing? It's strangest thing.
You know, I'll jump into this one. I've had a number of strange things, but one of the, now that I look back on it, was probably the funniest, but I was doing a fight at the Silver Slipper in Las Vegas, Nevada. There was a fighter that come into the ring by the name of Cowboy Royal. He came in wearing a cowboy hat and rip-off cowboy boots. He was fighting, and I remember this, he got hit with a tremendous uppercut to the stomach. I don't remember what round, I don't know who he was fighting, but Cowboy Royal spun around, leaned over the rope, and threw up on me. Referees, the house cleaning came in and cleaned up the ring and so forth. Well, advancing about 3 or 4 months, I was judging again at the Silver Slipper. And who comes in the ring but Cowboy Royal? So at the end of the first round, I score the round. I don't remember who I scored it for, but on Cowboy Royal's side, I go -1. And I turn my scorecard in. The chairman of the Nevada Commission was Duke Durden. And he come running over to me and hit me on the shoulder and said, "Ford, what in the H are you doing?" And I said, "Duke, the last time he fought here, he threw up on me, and that's my score." And he said, "That's good enough for me," and went back and said that.
Oh, that's awesome. I actually have a couple of instances, if I can jump in. One of them was almost comical. The other one's a little bit more serious and has to do with concentration. But the first one, I was doing a world title fight in California, and it was outdoors at a baseball stadium. It was really, really a nice setting, a nice warm evening. And as the corner climbed up on the stairs to get up between rounds to tend to their fighter, the last guy that went up the stairs was carrying an ice bucket. And as I was filling out my scorecard, he spilled the entire bucket of ice right on my scorecard. And rather than panic, fortunately, I had an extra scorecard at the bottom of the stack, and I was able to just grab a towel from somebody and wipe them off and at least turn in my score. The referee, thank God, saw what was happening, so he gave me a little extra time by going to the other two judges. It was an eye-opening experience. It taught me about how to just carry on and keep going rather than just throw your arms up and quit. But looking back on it, it was hilarious. At the time, it was a bit trying. A more serious note, it was kind of odd. It was one of my very first fights out of the country. And I was nervous, of course. I wanted to do well, and I'm a new guy. And after, I think it was the second or third round, during the round, it wasn't the supervisor, but it was someone from that particular country's commission. He apparently had a question about one of my scorecards. And he came over to me and he started pulling on my shirt. He wanted to get my attention and asked me this question, but it was during the round. And I held my hand up and I never broke my concentration. And it just seemed like he wouldn't go away. And finally, thank God, he realized what he was doing and he backed off and I was able to finish the round. But that, oh my gosh, that was something that I keep with me. It was one of those events you can't plan for, you can't draw up. Dwayne, I think that was the same fight that you use sometimes in your seminars where the net score of all three judges was 8-8. There were so many knockdowns and so many point deductions and this and that in one of those rounds. So that's a fight I'll never forget for a lot of reasons.
Hubert.
Yeah, I was in Tokyo doing a fight, and I had a photographer that constantly was on a box moving in front of me. And I politely asked him to move. And, you know, I teach this in the seminar about, commanding your area politely and respectfully. And he wouldn't move. And 3 times I asked him. And finally, I mentioned to Lawrence time. And Lawrence called time in the middle of an international title fight on television. And he came over, he said, "What's up?" I said, "Get this guy out of here because I can't judge the fight." And so he went over to the supervisor and they moved him. And the next time I came to Japan, every time I go there, wherever I am, he's on the other side.
Craig.
I did a WBC world title fight in Mexico City many years ago. I believe Mauricio was the supervisor, lower weight division. I can't remember the 2 fighters, but the separation between us judges and the crowd, let's just say, was minimal at best. In fact, they were pretty much side by side with me. I'd carved out my little space so that I could judge without, being too disturbed. But there was a woman behind me, and I'm not sure if she was just a fan or if she was an aunt or a mother of one of the fighters. But when her fighter won the fight, and I believe it was a technical knockout in the 6th round, she grabbed me. I fell off my stool. She basically had me in a bear hug. I fell on the ground and she just hugged me. She got that over with, and then she could go on. But yeah, hugged me, fell off the stool. We're rolling on the ground. There's beer cans. I'm like, yeah. As Jill Diamond would say, get blood on your shirt. I got a little bit of beer on my shirt.
I think that's the time when you lost your wallet in Mexico, wasn't it?
That's right, Mauricio. Yeah. Good times, right?
Maybe she took your wallet.
That's a good one.
We just had a few days ago, we posted in the WBC social media the strangest things that ever happened during a fight. And I'm sure most of you know them. I know Dwayne Ford was at some of them. What would be the strangest things that you have ever seen in a fight? I'm guess Fan Man is the best one, right?
Yeah.
Fan
Were you in
Man
the arena,
was,
Dwayne?
well, the Fan Man was a shocker. Of course, the ear bite was also a shocker. However, I had seen biting before in a couple of fights. I don't recall who they were at this time, but the Fan Man was really a surprise. There was, I think, 27 or 30-minute delay in that fight, and good thing you wrote down your score.
Yeah.
How do you manage your concentration? How, when you get distracted with something happens in the round, how do you get back? What do you do?
You know, I had a barometer, Mauricio, and that barometer told me whether I had my concentration or not. And that barometer was, if I never saw the ring girls, I knew I was concentrating.
Well,
Yeah.
I have an image that we use at the conventions when Dwayne is about to talk. When he's going to give a speech, we used to have this. Xochitl, imagen número 2, por favor, if we can use the image number 2. This is something that we used to do for fun during the convention. I'm not sure Dwayne remembers this
I remember.
graphic that we used to have. You
You
know,
know, that was fun. We, Jose used to love to talk, and so we made a little bit of money on the side at the WBC conventions, and we had a lot of fun by having contests as to who was the closest, as to how long he would talk. And the beautiful thing about it is Jose knew we were doing it, and he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. But it was kind of fun walking up and down the aisle selling tickets. I'm guessing on his time. So Mauricio is getting to be quite a speaker, so we may enact that
We're gonna
again.
start that up again.
Yeah.
I don't want to get to the booking.
okay, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, sorry.
Are you ready to go to round 1? We would like to watch a round that is really hard to score, and we want to know your impressions and how do you handle that? What should be the score and why? Okay, if we have it ready, let's play the round number 1. Well, I think this time I'm going to be the referee and get everybody's card. I will start with Steve.
Initially, Ortiz gave Wilder a little problems with his southpaw style in spite of that long reach of Wilder. And then Wilder kind of turned it around, came to life a little bit in the middle.
I think we should get everybody's card and then you can explain it.
Okay, I'm going 10-9 Ortiz.
10-9 Ortiz. Hubert.
I'm going 10-8 Ortiz.
Craig.
10-8 Ortiz.
Dwayne.
10-8 Ortiz.
10-8. Okay.
Certainly
Then please, Steve, keep explaining.
I can certainly see the 10-8. I toyed with it. My video screen jumped a couple times, but I certainly see it. I think that certainly the last minute and a half, the last half of that round, or the full minute of it, Ortiz really took it very strongly to Wilder, hurt him.
Craig?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, you know, we have basically there's a scale of 4. You can win a round close, moderate, decisive, and extremely decisive. And in that round, the last 30, 45 seconds, Ortiz is extremely decisively winning the round. He did everything but knock Wilder down. So the new rule in the last few years has been you're going to give that fighter an extra point for winning the round extremely decisively. So 10-8.
You know, if I might say, at the first start of the fight, it was a rather boring round.
Yes.
I had the referee winning because neither fighter was doing much. But then Ortiz landed some hard shots in the end, and he moved that from being sort of an even fight, and then overwhelmingly the damage and the result of the punches, I think warranted that it went into a 10-8. Now, what would we have done if Wilder would have gone down right at the bell? Would you have gone to 10-7 or would you have stayed at 10-8? I personally would have stayed at 10-8 because the knockdown would have confirmed that I was at 10-8. I don't know what you gentlemen might think though.
I agree with that 100%, Dwayne. It would just confirm that yes, he was extremely decisively winning the round. And had he knocked him down, great. But prior to that, he did everything but knock him down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dwayne brings up a really interesting point, about whether or not you'd give that extra point. We found out, Victor, that 90% of the rounds are scored 10-9 all the time. And I think we need to start to exercise the 10-8 a little more. Like Craig said, 2 minutes of the fight was nothing in the beginning. At 40 seconds is when he started to apply pressure. And I think at 30 seconds, for 30 seconds, he dominated and damaged Wilder. I would have to give that a 10-8. I can't see that, moving into a 10-9. The 10-7, that's a really interesting topic to talk about. We've had that at our seminars.
We have.
Yeah,
Mauricio?
the official score for this fight was all three judges scored at 10-8. And that is the key. We need to understand the need, what Hubert said about the 10-9. It's actually 94% of the rounds are scored 10-9 worldwide. So for a judge to score a close round 10-10, for a judge to score a round 10-8 without a knockdown, it's still something that is fragile. Judges are not still in that mindset to go all in and start scoring 10-10, 10-8 without knockdowns. But we're getting there, and training is the most important part of this. Once you have the ring officials in the same mindset, same education, then they can perform the same. Just as a clarification for everybody, there's a great difference between the judge who is sitting right there in the stool, those three judges working that fight, and the rest of everyone else in the arena or at home. Why? Because the judge is supposed to be 100% concentrated throughout the round. All those 3 minutes, he has to be only watching the actions and then scoring the round. What happens to everyone else who is in the arena? If you're a supervisor, you're writing down, you're looking at the different things happening at ringside. If you're a fan, you're with your girlfriend or your friends, you're having a beer, you're getting distracted. If you're at home watching the fight, you get the angles that the television gives you, and then you have your kids running around. So there's only 3 persons who can really score a round, and those are the ringside scoring judges for that fight. Also, the judges should be absolutely neutral. They don't want anyone to win. They don't like any one of those. They don't have any particular care for any one of those. While the fans, most of them, when they are watching a fight, they like one or the other to win the fight. Also, the last one is that the judges, the policy, the code of ethics call for the officials not to drink any alcohol since a day before of the event. And I can certainly confirm that most fans either are hungover or they get to the arena or at home and they have some beers and enjoy the event. So there are so many differences between the judges working the fight from any other person scoring. So that's why sometimes there's a lot of controversy, especially when there's so much passion from one of the fighters.
I would say even the commentators are working next to the ring, but they are listening. The producer or the other coworker, or watching if the doctor, it's not easy to talk and be concentrated 100%. I respect that, all the job you do there next to the ring. We have some
comment,
questions.
Good comment, Victor.
Yes.
Thank you. I have some questions here. What are the elements to score a round? Pressure, aggressivity, the defense, punching power, skills. What is what a judge is looking for? Who wants to go first?
Take it, Dwayne.
Huh?
Dwayne, go ahead, Dwayne.
Well, there's the first thing you're looking for are the scoring punches. And the second thing you're looking for is effective aggression. But there's some confusion about punches. The punches on the amateur side, they used to be a point, and whoever got the most points would win. They've changed that recently. But on the professional side, whoever gets the snot kicked out of him loses. So it's the effectiveness or the result of the damage that is going to influence the judge. And then if those are pretty well even, then you're looking at effective aggression. And the third thing would be the old term of ring gentlemanship. Defense, as of late, people have brought in defense, but defense is not one of the criterias for winning the round. Defense is only going to save you from getting hit by the punches. Steve?
One of the things that we talk about quite often in the seminars is that the general public, and sometimes even somewhat knowledgeable boxing fans, they don't realize that we don't have access to the punch stats or the CompuBox, or some of them still think that we count punches. It's just not the case. It's those criteria that Dwayne referred to, you know, the clean punching, the effective punching, that allows us to focus and score the round. And to that end, some people aren't even still aware that we score 12 individual rounds. So it's an education process for the public, but those are the main criteria during that 3 minutes.
I think that is very important. Usually a fan is watching a fight and they get the score by all the fight.
Right.
Not just each round as you do. And it's really important for the fan to understand that you go round one and then forget about it. Round two, and then go to the next. That is really important, because if there's too much damage in round 1, 2, and 3, they believe that that's enough to win the fight.
Yeah, we quite literally score 12 3-minute fights.
Yeah, that's a great point, Steve. Yeah, every round is a new fight.
I want to say hello to everybody that is watching. We're being watching in the US, Mexico, Brazil, Portugal, Belgium, and there's a lot of people like Jill Diamond, Michelle Panovich, Cole Magan, Cesar Flores, Cory Santos, Herb Santos. They're watching us. Thank you for being with us. I just want to say hi to everybody there.
It's like having a convention, a virtual convention.
Yeah.
Everybody, hello.
Awesome boxing people right there. Awesome.
Yeah, the whole family's here. I love it.
I think am I still here?
Yes, but we cannot see you, Hubert.
I can't get back on.
Click on the screen on the left and put video on.
Start video.
Start video.
Bottom left.
It's bottom left, Hubert. Bottom left.
Yes.
There you go.
There you are.
There you go. You're good.
We have a question here. Can the panelists remember their first championship fight as a judge?
Of course, Craig.
Yes, I certainly can. I had only been judging professional boxing for about 3 months. It was in Edmonton, kind of my home commission here in Alberta. And the then featherweight champion of the world, Jelena Mrjenovic, was defending her belt, and one of the judges called in sick. I'd only been judging for 3 months, and the executive director at the time was a gentleman named Ed Pearson. Some of you may have heard of him. He put me into the fight. So it was, 3 months into my judging career, baptism by fire. I was judging a WBC World Women's Title fight, and that was in 2006.
Steve?
I'm trying to think. It was in 2003, my very first title. Oh, go to somebody else. I'll come back and think of it.
Hubert.
I did my first fight in Seoul, Korea. And being Korean, I just happened to know a lot of these people. And they were lobbying me heavily. And it was a fight between the North Korean who was living in Japan and South Korea.
Tokuyama.
Yes. And it was a fight of peace, I believe. And I was getting
It
so
was against
heavily lobbied by
It
Korean
was
people.
South Korea, Injin Chi against North Korea, Tokuyama living in Japan.
Yes, yes, what
Wow.
a fight. So I got so heavily lobbied in my first fight that I asked my mentor, Chuck Hassett. I said, Chuck, I want to ask you a question. He said, what? I said, this is my first fight. Yes, I am getting lobbied heavily. He said, you just call it the way it is, all right? You're going to be lobbied every time. You just call the fight the way you do. And it was very, very helpful to have a mentor that I could trust and who had experience.
How about Dwayne? Which one was your first fight, Dwayne?
Let's see, it was Jack Dempsey, and I don't remember who.
You were seated next to Queensberry.
Yeah, Wyatt Earp kept getting in my way that night. But, you know, I'm sitting here and I can't remember my first world title fight, first champion. I can't. But I remember one of the first was Antifermo and Hagler.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
And I remember that fight really affected me. It was a very difficult fight. I had Hagler, I think, winning by 2. The other judge had Antifermo winning by 2. And one judge had it even. And it was my first taste of a world title fight. And I thought, man, you had to do extra special on a world title fight. And I thought, we just robbed a guy from a world title. And it upset me physically so much I went back underneath the bleachers and threw up. I don't know why it affected me so much.
That's the second story you've told about throwing up, Dwayne.
Really?
Sensing a
You know,
theme here.
I've gotten used to that because I've seen so many of your guys' scores.
I finally remembered mine. It wasn't a WBC fight. It was in California in Los Angeles in 2003. It was Rafael Marquez and Mauricio Pastrana. And I was scared to death. Just being on that stool and feeling all that pressure and having to just kind of keep it in check. And a very famous judge, Carol Castellano, came over and she put her hand on my arm. She goes, just pretend you're sitting on your couch watching a fight. And I did, and it helped, and it kind of went from there. My first WBC world title fight was in 2007 in Durango, Mexico. Cristi Mijares and Tepe Kukui. It was awesome to be on that world stage. It's never stopped.
that's great to hear. What if we go to another round and you can score it and explain it to us?
You can ask somebody else first, and not me.
Oh, I will. Please, roll it.
Okay, it's going.
การสะอึกเล็กน้อยขึ้นยก 8 แล้วนะครับ ขอบคุณผลิตภัณฑ์5 ดาวบริษัทไทยเสงยนต์การเกษตรจำกัดรถเกี่ยวโน้ตข้าวไทยเสงยนต์คุมวิเชียรสมภพรุ่งโรจน์บริษัทโตโยต้าเคมอเตอร์จำกัดผู้จำหน่ายโตโยต้าบริษัทถ้วยทองโอสถจำกัดยาหม่องตราถ้วยทองยาหม่องน้ำตราถ้วยทองและบริษัทเสือดำคอร์ปอเรชั่นจำกัดยาบำรุงร่างกายตราเสือดำวงจันทร์ครับ
มาลุ้นกันต่อนะครับยก 8 ป้องกันแชมป์โลกในรุ่นมินิมัมเวทของสภาโลกนะครับแล้วก็วันนี้ต้องขอบคุณนะครับก็โตโยต้าเคมอเตอร์ทั้งหมด21 สาขา 02 นะครับ 662 6555 จากโตโยต้าเคมอเตอร์นะครับ
หมดยก 8 ยกหน้าเราจะเห็นคะแนนอีกครั้งนะครับตามกฎของสภามวยโลก WBC นี่คือการชกป้องกันตำแหน่งครั้งที่ 10 ของวันเฮงและเป็นการชกครั้งที่ 51 เพื่อทำลายสถิติโลกของพลอยเมเวเธอร์ที่ทำเอาไว้ 50 ครั้ง
วันนี้ทางคุณสายชนชัยพัสกุลนะครับจากจุดเจิ้งปู่เซินจีหลังอีชี่ด้วยแล้วก็การ้อนช้างทีเคด้วยนะครับคุณคุยอนุจินเยบริษัทนิเมตและอมไทยไอเฮิร์ดด้วยนะครับ
สวยครับวันเฮงแล้วก็คุณสัมพันธ์หมั่นมากนะครับเลขานุการนายกอบจอุทัยธานีผู้บริหารตลาดพยอมและตลาดหมั่นมากครับ
ไม่เอาไม่ลงนะครับ
วันเฮงนั้นเก็บทุกเม็ดแล้วขณะนี้การเดินของทารุดันยังแรงอยู่นะครับต้นน้ำ
แกก็ว่ายมาแล้วนะครับว่ายมาแล้วนะครับทารุรันวันนี้ต้องเน้นต้องเลือกเล่นลำตัวให้เยอะต้องออกเน้นเนื้อนะครับของวันเฮง
ก็ต้องถือว่าทารุรันมีค่าทรหดสูงทีเดียวนะครับโดนเยอะขนาดนี้ยังไม่ยอมง่าย
ๆทั้งหมดครับ
นี่ก็พยายามหาช่องทำอยู่แหละครับผู้ท้าชิงประเทศฟิลิปปินส์ความพยายามแกนี่เสียล้นเลยครับแต่ว่าวันเฮงโอ้โหเอาอยู่ทุกเม็ดเลยครับ
ยกที่ 8 กลางยกแล้ว
นี่เลยครับวันนี้คุณคุยนะครับก็ข่าวช้างทีเคนะครับติดสารพัดประโยชน์ด้วย
ใหญ่วันนี้ต้องขอบพระคุณนะครับคุณอดิเรกศรีประทักษ์ครับกับการ
สายจะโดนเลยครับตัดคะแนนเลยครับเจอคูเซนเคลียร์นะครับผู้ตัดสินบนเวทีจากสหรัฐอเมริกานะครับโดนตัดคะแนนแล้วครับต่อยต่ำครั้งที่ 2ครั้งแรกเตือนครับครั้งที่ 2นี้โดนเลยครับโอ้โหคะแนนน่าจะไปไกลแล้วครับถ้าแบบนี้คะแนนน่าจะหนีห่างไปอีกหลายแต้มแล้วครับ
นี่แหละวันนี้ดร.ผมก็ดูอยู่พอเวทีเลยนะครับก็มาลุ้นด้วยนะครับแล้วก็วันนี้ทั้งไก่ย่าง5 ดาวแล้วก็นมสดเมจิด้วยนะครับหมดยกที่ 8
โอ้งานหนักแล้วครับ
Victor.
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment. So this is just a short taste for everyone to understand what a ring official who goes worldwide faces. You are in a different language. It's a different atmosphere. You don't understand anything. That's exactly what happens when you get there as a judge, as a referee, as a supervisor. That's why you have to prepare yourself when you go to the fights. Of course, we would like to know your scores going by the color of the trunks, which is red and the green. So, Craig, what was your score for this round?
The final tally would be 9-9, Mauricio. The first minute of the round was pretty nondescript. Both men were doing.
I'm sorry, Craig.
Yes.
This is going to be good, so we can also explain how the tally goes.
Absolutely.
If you can just please say your score, because the supervisor is the one who takes care of the deductions.
Okay. So my score in the round would be 10-9 for red. And then, of course, there would be the point deduction for red.
Okay. Hubert?
Yeah, Maurice, I had a very difficult time watching this with the way the video was moving and everything. I thought the green, again, now I'm just trying to see what I can watch. I can't see too much. I thought the green was ahead. So if it was, it would be 10-8. 10-9 with my deduction for the red.
Yeah, I do the deduction. As supervisor, okay. I do the deduction.
Okay. Red.
Okay. The green was the champion Menayo team. The red was a challenger from Philippines.
Right.
Okay. So we have Craig goes for the challenger 9-10. Hubert 10-9. Dwayne.
You know, I thought the red trunks controlled the round, and I think he landed more punches. I thought the green trunks, when he threw punches, they were more powerful, they were stronger. But I think overall, I had the red trunks winning the round 10-9.
Okay. And Steve?
I know that this was my fight in Thailand. I don't remember what my score was in that round, and my video was kind of iffy too, just based on what I saw here, and I could certainly get it backwards from my real score, but I thought maybe the red trunks a little more aggressive or effective rather. I'd have to go that way, 10-9, but I certainly could be different.
Xochitl, can you show in the screen again, just to confirm which is the red and which is the green? Xochitl.
Sí.
Nada más pongan en la pantalla la imagen, nada más para ver cuál es el verde y cuál es el rojo.
Sí. Ya va.
Gracias.
Sí, gracias.
My video was jumping all over the place, guys.
5 ดาวบริษัทไทยเซ็งยนต์การเกษตรจำกัดรถเกี่ยวนวดข้าวไทยเซ็งย
Póngale
นต์
pausa, ¿se puede?
Sí.
Okay, so we have the green and we have the red. Everyone is correct with their scores as said?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, the green is the champion.
yes.
Your team. Mhm.
Okay, this round was all over with the judges. One had it 10-10, one had it 10-9, and the other one had it 10-9 for the other. Of course, minus the point deduction. So it's a close round, and that shows how close rounds go. It's whatever you see. Of course, in a computer, it's not easy. So this is what happens live for a person who is sitting down with thousands of people screaming, and with the heat and with the lights and with so many different variables that happen during a fight. Thank you.
Mauricio, I might add that this round was a very difficult round to score on the video, and you would really have to be there in person to really see the effectiveness of the punches that the green trunks was throwing. However, I would like to make one point. I know Victor has described and referred to the green trunks as the champion. From a judge's standpoint, there is no champion in the ring. They're just two fighters.
Absolutely.
Right.
Once that bell rings, there's nothing in your mind one way or the other. That's a perfect comment. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you.
I can tell you that, Mauricio, to some of the points you've made about being in a foreign country and the heat and all that, this fight was about 3 hours north of Bangkok, and it was in a tent, an outdoor tent. It was about 104 degrees Fahrenheit. It was packed in there, some tough conditions. We didn't put on our jackets till right before the bell. And I specifically remember after the fight, they were celebrating, and right next to each corner were these air guns, you know, like they shoot T-shirts into the stands with confetti. Well, they were filled with confetti, and as soon as I stood up, the one next to me went off with confetti, and I almost wet my pants.
It's a good thing they weren't real guns, Steve.
Yeah, I know.
And
Mauricio,
yes,
excuse me.
Just another one of those boxing memories.
Yeah, Mauricio, excuse me. I think what Dwayne brought up was important, that in the ring, there's no champion. And it's very difficult, I think, at times for younger judges to forget about that fact. Now, I've had actually, to me, some of my better fights internationally, because I don't know the fighters. I don't care who they are. I'm just going to judge whoever I see. We talked about that before with Steve. When you do international fights, sometimes there's less pressure than being in the United States with all the hype and everything.
Yeah.
Good point.
that's a very good point, because almost every fight, there is the A side and the B side. The A side, the champion, whoever you want it to be. So when you get before that bell rings, the whole vast majority is expecting the A fighter to win. So for the judge, when the action starts, it takes a very difficult process to get on round 1, 2, and 3 to get used. If you are not professional, those first rounds, you're gonna expect the A fighter to win, and that's a mistake. You have to judge only what you see. You cannot have any expectations of what's gonna happen. You cannot have any premonition or prejudice of what should or should not happen. So when the not favored comes out and starts punching and it's a surprise, it takes 2-3 rounds for the novice judge to give him that credit.
I think that's a great point, Mauricio. And I think there's one further, that as a judge, you don't read the newspapers before the fight. You don't anticipate who's going to win it or not. The only thing you have to do is to know you show up at the arena well rested, your mind focused, and when the bell rings, concentrate. You don't care who wins.
Right.
If you
Absolutely.
do care who wins, you shouldn't be a judge.
Yeah, Dwayne, you brought up a point a couple, 3 years ago at one of our seminars, and it's so important. I want to know as little about the fighters as possible before a fight that I judge. I mean, I want to know their names, and that is it. I don't want to know their records. I don't want to know who their last opponent was. I don't want to know the result of that fight. I just want to have your mind clear and know as little about the fighters as possible so that you can just judge them as though you don't even know who they are. Yeah.
And one of the tools that I use, which has helped me stay away from that trap of expecting someone to win, is the mental computer. I talk to myself from bell to bell, where that 10-10 is at the beginning and who's ahead, and I pay attention to that, and it helps me concentrate, and it helps me completely stay away from hopefully any preconceived notions about who's going to win.
I think that's the hardest and most difficult part of a ring official, is to get in there and, as you say, have the courage to call it neutral, or as we say, pure. Just call it pure, In reference to the mental computer, that's a good point. I did send one over to Gilbert, and if you wanted, Gilbert, you could put it on the screen, because this is Jose Solomon's mental computer, and we use this in actually scoring. And Mauricio, if you wanted to explain it, because I don't think 90% of the people know how we get to the score, which is very, very important. We need to teach them how do we get to actually the final score.
Xochitl, ¿tiene la lámina que mandó Hubert?
Sí, ya la estamos subiendo. Sí.
Thank you, Hugh. They're going to show it on the screen.
Yes,
and
I sent it in.
I mean, that is exactly the point. The round begins, and the judge should have a blank on his mind. The mental computer means like a balance. When you go to the supermarket and you something on one side, something on the other, you want this to be the balance. So when the round begins, the action begins, and your mind has to move according to the actions. Hubert, I'm not familiar with this. Is it going to move in any way or no?
Okay, so basically what Jose was teaching us way back was this. You start off with this in your mind. This is what you should be having in your mind. You start with your mind at the middle, between the red and the blue, 10-10. And as the round starts, depending on which fighter is winning, if it's the red, you start to move your mental computer over into 10-9 red, 10-9 red, 10-9 red. Then as the fight continues, it might come back to 10-10. And then it might get into 10-9 blue, 10-9 blue. Ding, the bell rings, 10-9 blue. That's where we ended up. So it's a constant concentration.
Yeah, I thought the colors will start moving, but basically that is it. It's a balance. It's the mental computer. Let's say blue is Sugar Ray Leonard, red is Tommy Hearns. So the round starts, Tommy Hearns punches very hard jabs and he's dominating the round. So you're gonna have your color going on the right to the red side, going as a balance that he's moving and he's winning the round. Then Sugar Ray comes back with a great combination where you go back to the 10-10 and it's minute and a half of the round and you have that round still even because it's balance. Right. And then Sugar Ray Leonard comes back and hurts Hearns, puts him on the ropes, and then Hearns hits a good right hand. At the end, you have Leonard 10-9. Whether it's close, definite, or extreme or decisive, at this moment, we're just training to go, and the 10-9 would be the end of the round. If he hurt him very much and he didn't go down like we saw with the Wilder round, then you go to the 10-8. But that's a mental computer. You have to practice it and put it in action to understand it. But basically, you can just close your eyes and go one color or go levels, like filling up a glass of water one side or the other. But you get accustomed to your own system. But it's a mental computer. From the beginning of the round, you start 10-10. When the bell rings at the end, you see what your mind says and you just score it.
Using this type of meter, if you will, the mental computer also helps me, and I don't know about anybody else, but it helps me to prevent from making a decision too soon in the round. Just because someone's active and they're scoring in 30 seconds into the fight or 45 seconds into the fight, the want is to, think, oh, that guy's going to be ahead. But with the mental computer, it helps you prevent that. As Dwayne says, wait for the round to come to you, is what I'm saying. Rather than make a decision early, stay to yourself, stay true to yourself with this computer, mental computer, where the score is at, and go from there.
I always, in recent years, looked at it just a little bit different, and I felt it easier to view a round as somewhat of a horse race. When they come out of the chute, they're even. And then as they make the first turn, maybe one of the horses is just winning a little bit. And that changes as each part of the round goes. And who's ever ahead at the finish line wins the round. But the graph is very good, but sometimes we have trouble understanding the graph and that. But if we think of it in terms of a horse race, it's either dead even or somebody's winning. It's either dead even or somebody's winning. And who's ever winning at the finish line wins the round.
That's a very good example on how you can create your own mental computer. Whether it's horse race, whether it's a glass of water, it's a scale. You take fruit and put it on the scale and balance it to see some gold. You like to think of gold, think of gold. Okay, Victor.
Yes, I want to say hello to Lisa Garcia that is watching us. She's Ryan Garcia's mother. I just want to say hi. We have some questions here. How judges deal with pressure when there is a big interest and you have the promoter and the crowd a few meters away from you?
I could jump on that just right out of the box. Number one, I'm not sure what she means by pressure, because as a judge, I have personal pressure on me going to the arena and sitting down that I want to do a fair, honest job. But it doesn't matter how the crowd is reacting or how loud Ryan Garcia's mother's yelling. I don't hear that. My job is to be fair and honest, not what the crowd wants or not what the parents of the fighter wants. Or there's honesty in boxing. And I believe that the officials, the judges that work these fights are honest. And I think that 99.9 times out of 100, we get it right. There are some times that we don't see what a fan will see because we're looking at it as an official. So I don't really feel pressure. I don't feel, hear the crowd noise. And I might add that that's one thing that the headsets would help an official with. I didn't believe in headsets. And on one occasion, I had the opportunity to watch a fight on TV and put the headsets on and just hear the international sound. And I could hear the punches, I could hear the referee, but I didn't hear the crowd. Now, I believe younger officials might be affected by the crowd because they haven't trained their mind to focus on the fight. I believe older officials wouldn't like headsets, but I think that the headsets might be good for younger officials or officials who have their scores all over. Maybe that's a loss of focus. But once again, back to the question, I never did feel the pressure other than pressure that I wanted to do the right thing and I wanted to be prepared.
I have one more question.
Oh, sorry. Go right ahead, Victor.
Oh. How do the judges deal with blind spots in the ring when they can't see the punches?
That's a great question. I'm going to jump in quickly here. In the last couple of years, I've actually taken to standing up while I'm scoring. Now, if a commission designates that I sit down on the elevated stool to judge, then of course I will obey that instruction. But why I enjoy standing when I'm scoring a fight now is I feel more agile, that I can shift, that I can go back and forth. If a referee is in front of me, I can, turn to the right or turn to the left to get a better angle of the action in the ring. So anybody who's seen my style, I'm constantly looking, I'm under the ropes, I'm standing a little bit higher. I'm moving with the action. I'm not saying that that is effective for every judge, but it certainly works for me.
Yeah, I can say that I've had friends of mine or family see me on television asking me why you move around so much, why you're sitting in a stool, on a stool, how come you're moving and looking up and down? It's to get the best angle that we can. I don't normally stand up. I'm a pretty big guy, but I will tell you, I just did the Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas fight. And because of some lighting and the way the ropes were at a particular height, I stood the whole fight, all 12 rounds. I stood to get the best vantage point of that fight of every round.
I have one more question. Do you think that new technology will be brought in to help with judging, like VAR in soccer games or video assistance in other sports?
I didn't understand your question, Victor.
They ask if the judges can use any technology to help.
Yeah,
and I would like to
I believe the technology will be more for the referees. The instant replay, it's something that has been developed, and it's comparable to VAR in soccer or instant replay in football on the NFL. But the judge, there are certain things that we're going to try. We have the noise reduction devices, and we are coming up with a great technology that it has a camera. Where this will lead, we don't know. We believe there could be communication device between the referee and the supervisor and maybe the judges. We don't know yet. But what I can say is boxing is definitely very behind in technology compared to many other sports.
I want to show you an image about a proposal from Don Jose about scoring, and please let me know your thoughts. You remember this, Mauricio?
Yes, this was, he invested a lot of time and even resources we had these tablets ready, produced. They were from the ones that they use at war in armed forces, because they can take a lot of battery and work in many different scenarios. And this is exactly how it's expected. You score the round. Instead of putting 10-9, you put how you saw the round. Even, or if you saw the fighter red or blue, very slight, clear, or it was a beating. And then it had the knockdowns and the fouls. It was just on the development stages when my father got ill, and he could never finish this what was his dream. But it's something judges have been writing the score in a piece of paper for many, many, many years. We have tried some tablets. It's something that has to do with technology, but I think this could be something that we can take up and try to look into the future.
Mauricio,
Yes.
I was just going to bring this up. This was fantastic. And when your father showed me this and I worked on it, this was fantastic. This takes all the thinking out of it for a judge. Even a beginner can maybe use this, because the points are automatically sent in. They don't have to worry about the points. But I thought this was way ahead of its time. I really liked it.
Yes. Yeah, the problem with implementing for something to work has to work worldwide, talking about WBC. But we certainly, Victor, you just gave me a good idea, and thank you, Hubert. We can take this as a program to develop for the future. I like it very much.
Well, we're almost done. So I will ask each of you your conclusion. If you can give us your conclusion of this, starting with Craig.
Well, this was just fun. This was so fun, and it was great to see all of my WBC family together. Considering what we're going through right now, it's really brightened my day. I hope it's brightened everybody else's, and I think it was informative for everybody to exchange ideas, exchange thoughts regarding whether it's scoring around or just some of the things we deal with as officials. And if we can put more of a human side to it so that we can convey that to the public and they have a better understanding of what we're doing, I think we did that today. And so this was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Steve.
I think it's great. I'm happy to be a part of it. I hope it continues. I like the way it's been done round over round, if you will, the last few days with the referees, the trainers, the judges, both the Spanish and English versions. It encourages the public to log on and become involved. Information is a very powerful thing. And if, like Craig said, if we can educate the public and some boxing fans about how we do what we do, it helps them understand it, and it makes us better officials in the process. So I'm all for it.
Thank you, Steve. Dwayne?
This has been a great idea, and I applaud Mauricio and the WBC office for putting it together. It's been a good exchange. I think that there are people out there that might learn something from this. On a side note, though, and somewhat of a more serious note, I'd like to mention that the North American Boxing Federation sent out an email today and posted on their website, encouraging people to this Sunday on the 29th to make it a fast and prayer or meditation day, that we might find some relief from COVID-19. And in that release, that press release, we commended the World Boxing Council for always reaching out to lend aid in time and support, and even financially. And at this time, the NABF and we unite with the World Boxing Council, ask Sunday to encourage whatever your belief is, whatever you have in your heart, to find time to meditate and maybe ask for a prayer for some relief for this COVID-19.
You're right, Dwayne. Thank you very much. Hubert.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Mauricio, Sochi, Victor, Gilbert, Gabby for helping to put this on during this crisis. I think it's extremely important for us to communicate with each other, to share, to show our aloha to each other. And I think this is a great, great venue. I would also like to say that today is Bobby Lee. If some of you know Bobby Lee from the WBC, Bobby Lee's birthday is today. And, you know, it's fitting that we talk about him. But in general, I want to say aloha to all the boxing officials all over the world. Give you my aloha. Stay strong. Keep punching. We got the best team here. Thank you. Aloha.
And Victor, please ask everybody to keep the first responders in their hearts over the next couple of weeks, whatever comes.
Sure, we will. Please, thanks, Marcy, for everything she's doing.
You bet I will.
Sochi.
Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody to stay home, to stay safe during this weekend, and to invite everybody to join us next Monday at the round. It's going to be held on Hollywood and boxing. It's going to be a very, very fun round. And so it's going to be at 1 o'clock Mexico City time, and enjoy, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Sochi.
Thank you. Mauricio.
Thank you, Sochi.
Yes, first, thank you. Thank you all for participating. This has been very entertaining in all ways. Bobby Lee, I believe is 94 today.
No, he's way older. I think he might be 100. He might be 100.
Please find out. I'd like to know how long he has lived. He was president of the WBA, and then he has been with the WBC for many, many years. Very nice person, great person from Hawaii. Marcy, the Steve Morrow's wife. I was in Japan when there was a fight. It was the press conference, and one of the reporters dropped and had a seizure. And there she comes, Wonder Woman, Superwoman. She flies and she takes care of this guy. She's a really, just as any first responder, fireman, police, we send our prayers, we take our hats off to them. Anyone who is in medicine, nurse, doctor, therapist, anyone who is risking their lives today to keep the world safe, we have to really recognize them. Thank you so much.
There she is.
There she is.
Oh,
Hey, Mars.
hello, Mercy.
Hi.
We were just talking about you.
Hi, Marcy.
We love you so much.
Hi.
Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you guys. Stay healthy.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcy.
So this morning, before we began our panel in Spanish, it was the Pope Francis Mass from Rome. So we decided to postpone the talk, and it dragged on. But it was so emotional to see how the world is fragile, but there's so much hope. Whether you are Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, any religion, any country, any race that you are, it's the same world. So I like very much the NABF initiative. We will promote it for Sunday fasting. And you know, on Monday when we had the panel of doctors, meditation is one of the greatest solutions at this particular time. We have so much concern. You watch the news and then you got so anguish. What you have to do is meditate. They taught us that we have to live our life closest to the normal as possible. So our recommendation, begin your day, plan your day. If you have breakfast at X time, you have time to read, you have work to do, you have homework to do with your kids, then lunch, but have a structure. Otherwise, it's going to be more difficult. Stay positive, work out, eat healthy, hydrate yourself, and clean your hands, have a personal hygiene, and stay home. We thank you so much for your day, and we're going to have more panels. I'm anticipating we're going to have at least 2 more weeks of the WBC Talks. And just thank you for participating, and I wish you the best. God bless you, and thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. I just want to say, as you had mentors, now you're the mentors from the new guys. You are our mentors. We're learning from you, and it's so good to have you here with us. Also, I want to thank the WBC University staff, Gilbert, Xochitl, from the WBC, Gabriel Gonzalez, everybody here, and thanks for the first week. It's been really amazing. Thank you.
Was Mauricio playing drums on that song?